Welcome to our podcast, where we explore fascinating stories and ideas from various fields. In this episode, we explore the bizarre fly versus fly event, where millions of flies will rain down on America. And no, it's not a biological weapon attack. In the US, millions of flies will be dropped from planes. It's not a biological weapon. It's a method to fight the spread of New World screwworms, a parasitic flesh-eating larva of the Cochleomya hominivorax fly species. Once eradicated from the US, these flies are spreading again, and they are coming from Latin America. Scientists and lawmakers are worried about millions of dollars of damage the flies can cause to livestock industry. The way out? Airdropping more of these flies. Doesn't make sense? The larvae of New World screwworm flies can infest wounds in warm-blooded animals like cattle, horses, pets, and even humans. The medical term for infestation of an animal by a maggot is myiasis. Once the flies lay eggs on open wounds of animals, the maggots will slowly eat them alive, said Dr. Philip Kaufman of Texas A&M University in a report on CNN. The New World screwworms have been spreading in an outbreak that started in early 2023. It started from Latin America, winding through Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, and El Salvador. It reached southern Mexico in November and is slowly affecting animals across the US border in Texas. The Panama United States Commission for the Eradication and Prevention of Screwworm Infestation in Livestock, or COPEG, listed more than 35,000 New World screwworm infestations, 83% of which were on cows. The flies versus flies method was used for the first time by the US in the 1960s and 1970s to eradicate screwworms. This eventually helped reduce the population of screwworms and eradicate them. In June, 80 US lawmakers warned in a letter that hundreds of millions of more sterile flies are needed to fight the New World screwworms. The USDA, the country's drug regulator, announced plans to open a US fly factory near the Texas-Mexico border and renovate an old facility in Mexico, said the CNN report. The mass production of sterile male flies is done by sending gamma rays to the pupae to make them impotent. These flies are not harmful to humans or animals. The sterilized male flies are dispersed to mate with wild females, who then lay unfertilized eggs. The female fly finds a living host, lands on its wound, and will lay up to 200 to 300 eggs. They immediately start burrowing and feeding on the tissue. Kaufman told CNN. The dispersal of these impotent male flies is done through temperature-controlled containers from planes targeting rural areas, said the CNN report. The COPEG facility currently produces about 100 million sterile flies weekly. The U.S. facility for mass production of sterile flies will be located at Moore Air Base in Hidalgo County, Texas. This will cost $8.5 million, even as lawmakers estimate the overall fly factory project at around $300 million. The USDA, meanwhile, is investing around $21 million to upgrade the Mexican plant by late 2025, said the report.
هذه الاشتباكات أساساً ليست اشتباكات طائفية ولم تقم على صراع طائفي. الدولة السورية حريصة كل الحرص على أن تكون على مسافة متوازنة من جميع المكونات السورية.
بلغت أعداد المصابين الواردة إلى إسعاف مشفى إزرع عدد يتجاوز 60 إصابة بين خفيفة ومتوسطة وخطرة وحوالي 8 إصابات وصلت متوفية.
A new video of the time lapses of satellite imagery shows the spread of the Dragon Bravo fire on the north rim of the Grand Canyon over July 11th to July 13th. The fire, which started on July 4th and has consumed 50 to 80 structures in its path so far, the wildfire has triggered evacuation of nearby residents and visitors as firefighters battle the raging blaze. According to Grand Canyon National Park, the fire burned down a number of historic cabins, including the Grand Canyon Lodge. Take a look at these visuals. The flooding is causing problems on multiple New York City subway lines as torrential rain pummels the tri-state area where many were under flash flood warnings on Monday night. Now, service was suspended in one of the lines in most of Manhattan because of flooding near the 96th Street. Now, here is a report. Controversial shift that could fast-track deportations from the U.S. A newly revealed Trump-era memo says U.S. immigration officials may deport migrants to third countries with as little as 6 hours' notice. Now, this is a significant departure from the standard 24-hour policy. Now, as per reports, the memo, which was dated on July 9th, allows this rapid removal only under what it calls exigent circumstances. Now, crucially, these deportations can happen without additional legal screenings and as long as the receiving country assures that it will not persecute or torture the individual. Now, this policy move follows a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling that cleared the way for such deportations, lifting prior restrictions. In fact, 8 migrants, which were originally from Cuba, Laos, Mexico, Myanmar, Sudan, and Vietnam, have already been deported to South Sudan under this authority. The administration is also ramping up diplomatic efforts, asking 5 African nations to accept deportees from other regions. These nations include Liberia, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, and Gabon. Now, critics say that the policy raises major human rights and legal concerns. They warn the policy fails to meet due process requirements and strips migrants of basic protections under U.S. law. Now, the memo was submitted as evidence in a lawsuit involving Quilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland resident who was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. Now, the case is now at the center of the legal challenge. With the immigration policy a growing flashpoint, the debate over fairness, security, and legality is far from over.
Spanish police have arrested 10 people over rare anti-migrant unrest that has rocked the town of Torre Pacheco. The town has witnessed nights of violence since it first erupted on Friday. The violence broke out after a 68-year-old man alleged that 3 youths of North African origin had beaten him up. Listen in. In fact, the city's mayor had blamed social media for inflaming clashes involving non-residents that saw street equipment broken and car windows smashed. The civil guard has deployed 90 officers to quell the unrest, and more would be sent.
We don't want any violence, nothing. We just want justice. We just want to be left alone. We want to live in peace, for our neighborhood to be in peace, and for our city to live in peace.
The central government's representative in the Murcia region has said that authorities had identified 80 people, many of them with criminal records for violence. The majority of them are not from Torre Pacheco. 2 people had been arrested for their suspected role in the attack on the elderly man, while 6 Spaniards and a Moroccan were held for altercations, crimes of hate, damage, and public disorder.
What an age we live in. We are in the year 2025, valuing immigrants united with mutual love. Hell, with mutual love, with mutual love.
A far-right group named Deport Them Now had posted a message online calling for attacks against people of North African origin. The Moroccan Association for the Integration of Immigrants has said in a statement that threats, attacks and fear in the streets must end, demanding real protection for the affected people. The mayor has said 30% of the city's inhabitants were immigrants, mainly agricultural laborers who have been living in the town for more than 20 years. Moroccans are the most represented nationality among Spain's foreign population, numbering more than 920,000, according to the latest official figures.
Well, a major push to integrate AI into national security, the U.S. Department of Defense, or DoD, has announced contracts with 4 leading U.S. AI companies, which are OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, and xAI, each deal valued at up to $200 million. It will enable the DoD to develop sophisticated AI-powered solutions in a bid to tackle critical national security challenges. The U.S. Department of Defense will be partnering with the U.S. General Services Administration to make these companies' AI tools available for use throughout the federal government. Doug Matty, DoD's Chief Digital and AI Officer, said in a press release the adoption of AI is transforming the department's ability to support our warfighters and maintain strategic advantage over our adversaries. The new contracts will also help address concerns about ensuring competitive bidding for AI adoption across federal agencies. AI adoption is on the rise within U.S. government agencies as well. In January, the U.S. President Donald Trump revoked a 2023 Biden-era executive order which sought to reduce AI risks through mandatory data disclosures. Under Biden's tenure, AI manufacturers had to share safety test results with the U.S. government for systems deemed risky to national security, the economy as well, public health or safety before going public. In related news, Elon Musk's xAI announced Grok for Government, a new suite for products designed to provide its advanced AI models, including the latest Grok 4 to federal, local, state and national security customers.
And the markets are not fazed by U.S. President Donald Trump's trade escalation, so far at least. And the big one coming up is the U.S. Consumer Price Inflation Report for the month of June. And that will show to what extent we're actually seeing the beginnings of tariff-inspired price rises. The U.S. Consumer Price Inflation Report for June is the big one for Tuesday. The 0.3% is expected on the month, is in part tariff impacted, and the prediction suggests at least some material evidence of tariffs in consumer prices on Tuesday. Economists saying the bulk of the tariff impact will be felt from July onwards. For now, though, there has been a lot of talk of exporters and importers and retailers choosing to take a chunk of the tariff pain. Markets at the moment are looking beyond Trump's trade rhetoric. Investors are eyeing economic signals amid the headline noise from Donald Trump. Markets will likely be more interested in the impact of Trump's trade tantrums on the underlying economic data. For now, economists suggest diminishing marginal impact from trade threats. And economists have long warned of a tariff-driven boost to U.S. inflation. Tuesday's price report will put their conviction to the test. For 4 months now, CPI readings have come in cooler than what economists predicted. But analysts predict U.S. inflation accelerated in June as some tariffs seeped through to prices. Economists predict price rises in tariff-exposed categories, including furniture, toys, recreational goods and cars.